Welcome to our 2028 election coverage. Today, we will be covering the 2028 primaries. This is the initial point for the Democratic primary. 85% say they will vote for Jon Ossoff, with 10% saying Eric Adams and 5% saying Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This is the initial point for the Republican primary. 19% say Ron DeSantis, 16% say Nikki Haley, 14% say Kimberly Yee, and a surprising fourth place with 11% John James. Josh Hawley at 8%, Kristi Noem at 6%, Elise Stefanik and Mike Garcia both at 5%, and Tom Cotton at 4%, along with Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, and Donald Trump Jr. both at 3%, and Mike Lindell at 2%. We got our poll closing out of Iowa. McCain projected Jon Ossoff will win Iowa's 41 delegates, a majority of them. He will finish with 25, with Eric Adams at 9 and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at 7. And on the Republican side, Ron DeSantis will win it. He will finish with 15, with Nikki Haley at 8%, Kimberly Yee at 6%, John James at 3%, Josh Hawley and Kristi Noem tied at 2%, Elise Stefanik and Tom Cotton both at 1%, as long as Rand Paul and Ted Cruz at 1%, and Mike Garcia and Donald Trump Jr. with 0%, and Mike Lindell with 0% as well. So this is the Democratic primary map. Jon Ossoff with 25, Eric Adams with 9, and AOC at 7. This is the Republican map. Ron DeSantis currently leads with 15, and Nikki Haley in second place with 8. Now, New York City, New York, breaking news. Donald Trump Jr. has left the presidential field. And Mike Lindell has also dropped out of the 2028 race. Mike Garcia has also dropped out after claiming that he failed to gain traction in Iowa and across the nation. Senator Ted Cruz has also suspended his 2028 bid, which is his third unsuccessful presidential run. And up here, South Dakota, Kristi Noem has also left the 2028 presidential race. Alon Rand Paul has also dropped out of the race after failing to gain traction in Iowa and across the nation. And we got poll closing out of New Hampshire. Jon Ossoff will win a majority of New Hampshire's 24 delegates. This is the extended list. Jon Ossoff at 13, Eric Adams at 8, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez with 3. Ron DeSantis will win the primary on the Republican side. He finished with 9 delegates, Nikki Haley with 4, John James with 3, Kimberly Yee with 2, Josh Hawley with 2, Elise Stefanik and Tom Cotton both with 1. And this is the Democratic primary map. Jon Ossoff at 38 and Eric Adams at 17, with AOC at 10. This is the Republican map. Ron DeSantis leads with 26 and Nikki Haley in second place with 14. Now, breaking news out of New York City, New York. Elise Stefanik has left the 2028 Republican primary. Tom Cotton is ending his 2028 campaign as well. And out of Nevada, our poll closing out of Nevada. Jon Ossoff will win Nevada's 36 delegates. He will finish with 26 of them, and with Eric Adams and Alexandria Cortez at 5. And Ron DeSantis will win the same primary on the Republican side. He finished with 8, Nikki Haley with 6, Kimberly Yee at 5, John James at 3, and Josh Hawley at 3. This is the Democratic primary map. This is the Republican primary map. In New York City, New York, breaking news. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have left the 2028 presidential campaign. And poll closing out of South Carolina. Jon Ossoff will win South Carolina's 54 delegates. He will win 46 of them, with Eric Adams winning 8. And Nikki Haley will win the South Carolina on the Republican side. She'll finish with 23, Ron DeSantis with 20, and Kimberly Yee and John James both at 3, with Josh Hawley at 1. This is the Democratic primary map. And this is the Republican primary map. Now, St. Louis, Missouri, breaking news. Josh Hawley has dropped out of the 2028 race. In Detroit, Michigan, John James has also left the 2028 primary. And Kimberly Yee has also left the race. In New York City, New York, breaking news. Eric Adams has left the Democratic field, which means we can't project. Then John Ossoff will be the Democratic nominee in the 2028 election. These are our poll closings on Super Tuesday out of California, Colorado, Alabama, Arkansas, Utah, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Texas, Tennessee, North Carolina, and more. And Ron DeSantis will win Alabama on the Republican side. He'll also win Arkansas, California, and Colorado. Nikki Haley will win Maine in a tight race with Ron DeSantis. She'll also win Massachusetts and another New England state. Ron DeSantis will win Minnesota, and with a majority of his 39 delegates. Nikki Haley with a pretty big win in North Carolina and a very important win for her campaign. Ron DeSantis will win Oklahoma and Tennessee, along with Texas, which is a pretty big win as he won the majority of its 155 delegates. And Nikki Haley will win Utah. Vermont will go to Ron DeSantis, a very small win, but still an important one. He'll also win Virginia. This is the Republican map. Ron DeSantis at 511 and Nikki Haley at 460. These are poll closings of Idaho, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, and Washington. Ron DeSantis will win Idaho and Michigan, along with Mississippi, Missouri, and Washington. And he's currently at 642 delegates with Nikki Haley at 571, even though that she only won 6 primaries. These are poll closings out of Arizona, Florida, and Illinois. Ron DeSantis will win Arizona, which is a pretty big win, but there was a couple writings for Kimberly Yee, and since she did endorse Nikki Haley, those delegates will go to her. Ron DeSantis will also win his home state of Florida and Illinois. This is the primary map. Ron DeSantis has 772 delegates with Nikki Haley at 687. Now, Columbia, South Carolina, breaking news. Nikki Haley has suspended her 2028 presidential campaign for party unity, which means we can't project that Ron DeSantis will be the Republican nominee. Like and subscribe to never miss an episode of the 2022 midterms to the 2040 presidential election series. Until next time.